what you be able to achieve, and how do you kind of frame it right now?
Cloud marketplace business, just the part that I was managing, grew 1,000% in 3.5 years.
That's incredible.
Yes, you wouldn't see that kind of growth rate through any route to market. I mean, forget what the Bessemer Venture Partners or Tackle anybody is saying. That it's 84 to 86% CAGR. That's the kind of growth that you're seeing. Look at what AWS their backlog is, right? Look at their ADP commits. Look at Azure's ADP commit. All those customers who have made those commits want to burn down those commits, and they can buy software and burn it down. The potential is tremendous. You just need to step up and take it.
Learn how to master cloud marketplaces in just 5 weeks with our cohort course. Accelerate your growth by tapping into the $300+ billion cloud spend that enterprises have committed to AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Discover the future of go-to-market with Roman. During 10 weekly sessions, you'll learn how to leverage this fast-growing channel and network with top industry experts and partnership leaders. We will dive into marketplace strategies, internal buy-in, building relationships with the cloud, and mastering co-sell. Join our upcoming cohort.
I'm really excited to have great speaker Anurag Pandey, and Anurag has incredible experience in Cisco. He's been finance leader, and he's someone who builds cloud go-to-markets practice in Cisco. He's going to be talking about like strategic ideation, execution, product management of cloud go-to-markets through all cloud marketplaces, AWS, Azure, and GCP. So today for a treat, I'm really excited to hear your thoughts.
Picture this. You're a management consultant, and you've spent most of your career in corporate finance. For good reasons, you decide to learn how operations works in a company. So you intentionally ask for a rotation into an operations team, into an incubation team. You get that rotation. You are super pumped. The first day that you join your team, you are told that there is a brand new way to sell Cisco softwares in the market. It's very much a wild, wild west. Nobody has a clue what's going on, including the people who are already selling and the hyperscalers. And you get the opportunity and the challenge to figure out how this new route to market, let's call it that, impacts the $50 billion company. That's what I got about 5 years back. That first day ask essentially turned into a mini career for me. It allowed me to challenge myself. It allowed me to build a cloud go-to-market team and a practice at Cisco. It allowed me to work with multiple hyperscalers, both US-based and outside. It allowed me to work with multiple partners, existing and new Cisco partners. It allowed me to work with multiple cross-functional teams, multiple business groups, multiple products. A lot of very, very interesting learnings. And as Roman and I had a discussion earlier, and I mentioned to him that as pioneers in this field, it's our responsibility to make sure that those who come after us don't have to reinvent the wheel. And my hope for today's session is that your takeaway from this would be along those lines. You won't be reinventing the wheel. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is probably familiar to some or all of you. I'm trying to connect the dots in your mind. As I mentioned, I'm a core finance person, right? And one of the things that I have consistently found useful is following the money. I'm sure you all agree with me that if in a business, if there's something which cannot be translated into dollars, it doesn't last very long. So that's the emphasis, and that's the focus, that's the nuance I'm going to be putting on today's conversation. I will be following the money wherever I can. I'm not going to drain this particular slide. Okay, this is for folks who are just getting into the cloud go-to-market business. Most of you are already very, very familiar with this, right? You know the kind of cloud commit that probably the prime driver for customers, the hundreds of billions in cloud commit that exists across the 3 major hyperscalers. You know that Tackle is saying that up to 50% of business of the new born in the cloud companies are actually going to cloud marketplaces, and they expect the opportunity by 2026 to be about $100 billion, 10% of all B2B sales. You are a general manager, you are a finance person, you are a salesperson, and you want to build the cloud go-to-market practice within your company. That's the lens I'm putting on this, right? What do you do first? The first thing that you do is to figure out what do your stakeholders care about, right? Because you're starting from scratch. I mean, even if a lot of your competitors, even if a lot of your peers are already in this market, you are starting from scratch. You're building this practice from scratch. And you have to figure out who your stakeholders are first. And second, what do they care about? Here's what I learned. Now, there are a lot more stakeholders than the 5 that I've called out. But here's what I learned. The most important stakeholders, the stakeholders that either have their fingers on the approval trigger or own the purse strings or have a veto on where you're going to go. These are the most important ones. C-suite, naturally, because you're going to be asking for investment. You're talking about a new route to market. And what they care about is a strategic imperative for them. They are very concerned about the total addressable market, how this supports them, and of course, the competition, the competitive pressures. Finance, which is my favorite function, they're going to care about how you're going to recognize revenue. How is the booking going to happen? What's the cost impact? How's my margin going to change? And most important, at least for me, was compliance, legal as well as tax compliance. Sales team, I'm sure we've got alliance and sales leaders on this call, and credit and comp will naturally drive the behavior of sales team. But the sales team, the good sales team, also care very deeply about the partner impact, about the impact on customer experience. And talking about business groups and operations, I club them together because a lot of work that is done is sometimes overlapping, as they care about how's the platform going to get integrated with their existing platform, with their existing ecosystem. How are they going to improve on the time to market? And what are the changes that they need to make, whether in their product or downstream systems, processes, policies, or even people, to get onto this whole cloud marketplace journey, cloud go-to-market journey? Let's talk about the C-suite, because this is the team that you need to convince first. You're talking about a new route to market, which has impact from a compliance perspective, from a branding perspective, from your existing customer perspective, from existing channel partner perspective. It touches all of that. And you want to make sure that you have the buy-in, you have the support from your C-suite. When I took this to Cisco's executive leadership team, most of the questions were around these 4 elements. There were others, but most of them were around these 4 elements. Why are we doing a new route to market? Are our customers asking for it? First question. Is there competition already there? Well, you know what? Either they're already there, or this gives us an opportunity to leapfrog our competition. Right? If we are early, we get to benefit from an early adopter mentality. How is this going to help us? Is it going to cannibalize our sales, for example? We talk about a new route to market. What happens to our existing routes to market, right? So is that going to impact a TAM? And the answer is positively yes. It's going to increase your total addressable market. And then, of course, your ELT is usually made up of product leaders as well. And the question for them: how does it benefit us? Besides the increase in revenue, of course, and time to market, the ability to reach out to a broader segment than you might be reaching out to today, the ability to do it in record time is amazing. And you know what? Based on all the CSP incentives that come the way of ISV, if you scale fast, you can effectively make it free, at least in the beginning. It does get really complicated later on, but at least in the beginning, just to try it out, just to figure out the kinks, you can get started and not have to pay a lot, not have to invest a lot in this. So we've got the C-suite, we've got the C-suite support. Now what? As I mentioned, I'm a finance guy, I'm a core finance guy, and finance is my favorite function. It can be boring, but it's my favorite function. What do your finance teams care about? And when I say finance teams, I'm including tax in there. There's a legal compliance aspect as well. I'm not going to touch that right now. But what does your finance team care about? The finance team is interested in knowing how your revenue is going to get impacted, how your bookings are going to get impacted, your revenue and booking timings are going to get impacted, How are your tax compliance needs going to be met? How is your margin going to change? What happens to the dollars that you pay as seller fee to cloud marketplaces? What investments do they have to make internally? How does your partner get impacted? Because remember, you've got a deals desk, you've got a commercial finance, and all of those teams, and they're interested in the partner experiences. And if you've got a credit and collections team, if you're large enough to have a separate credit and collections team, they're going to be really, really concerned because you know what? They're used to invoicing their customers. They're used to collecting. They're used to a specific term that you have defined. And suddenly you've got a third party which is invoicing on your behalf, a third party which is collecting on your behalf, and that third party might have issued terms to their customers which are different from what you do. If you have a 30 net term, which essentially means that you give 30 days to your customers to pay you, and AWS in turn has got a 45-day net term with their customers, suddenly you've got a disconnect out there. And your credit and collections team will have to make arrangement, will have to make provision for that, right? Whether they're doing with reserves, whether they're changing their terms, whatever. But there are implications to that. So let's go through these one by one. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but the first one, ARR, you're only selling subscription. You're not selling perpetual licenses on marketplace. You're only selling software subscriptions and services. So ARR becomes the KPI of note for you. And your finance team, your corporate revenue team is going to be interested in seeing what the impact is. Is selling on this route to market or on this particular platform, which is what I consider AWS Marketplace and Azure Marketplace to be, is that going to touch your ARR? Is that going to impact it? Well, naturally, it's going to improve it, but it's not going to improve just because of volume. It might also improve because you get to set the pricing and the terms on the cloud marketplace again. And it does not have to be the exact same that you have on your marketplace. Now, if you go into your legal contract with AWS or Azure, you will realize that there are conditions out there which say that you cannot sell a product, the same product, on another platform at a lower price. It makes sense, right? So you have to keep those nuances in mind. But ARR goes up. Margin, you have to make sure, as somebody who is leading this effort, you have to make sure that you are at least margin neutral, if not increasing your margin on marketplace. Why would you be able to increase your margin in marketplace? I mean, you've got another platform, you're paying a seller fee, because there are benefits to the customers out there. Again, it's a call that you have to make, and it's a call which will be made product to product, leader to leader, and it won't always be the same. But this is an opportunity to differentiate yourself because the marketplace experience is already differentiated in customers' mind. They get to benefit from ETP. They get to benefit from a whole lot easier procurement. They get to benefit from a single invoice that they're getting for their infrastructure usage and their software consumption, all of that. So there are benefits to the customers which are tangible and intangible. And it's between you and your customer how you figure this out. Seller fee treatment can get tricky. I know that I spent a lot of time ensuring that we had a consistent seller fee treatment across all the business groups, across all the different marketplaces. Your finance team will have a viewpoint on that. But what is important to point out is that it's not a lot. If you look at the seller fee that any of these cloud service providers are charging you, 3%, right? What do you get in return for 3%? The cloud service provider has got an invoicing mechanism for you. They've got a billing mechanism for you. They've got a way to collect your consumption data and convert it into a bill, into an invoice. They have a way to, they've got a team which is collecting from the customers. They have a team which is working on all the information that they share with you, right? They're providing a ton of service. They're even letting customers pay with credit card. And there's a credit card fee associated that they have to pay to payment processors, right? 3%, if you start looking at it from that perspective, is not a lot. I doubt that it even covers their platform cost. So why do these hyperscalers have these marketplaces in place? Follow the money. Their bread and butter is infrastructure sales. It's the service sales. It's their own sales. It's the AWS sales, not the AWS marketplace sales, but the AWS sales.